My name is John Passfield, and the title of this reading will be The Mammoth Cheese Video 12, a complete chapter, Chapter 16. This is my novel, James McIntyre, The Mammoth Cheese, a novel by John Passfield, historical photo, 1866, Ingersoll, Ontario. With the contribution of 800 cows, the tiny village of Ingersoll, Ontario, has not only produced the world's largest block of cheese, it has also nurtured the epic poet who can rapturously sing its praises. Now, if only Queen Victoria can be persuaded to take a hearty bite and add her majestic voice to the poet's ecstatic hymns of praise, the mammoth cheese will become the edible jewel in the crown of the globe-girdling British Empire. In this video, I'm going to read Chapter 16, the final chapter in the novel. I will read the entire chapter without any editorial comments. The chapter is 1,936 words, so let's just find it here, page 121. The title is Chapter 16, Ingersoll 7, so it's the 7th chapter set in Ingersoll. A meeting at Mr. Harris's factory, the latest of many emergency meetings. Emergency meeting ad infinitum? Probably not. Perhaps the final emergency meeting of them all. The manufacturers all stand in an empty cart. The Ingersollians gather around below. The cart with the mammoth cheese is nowhere in sight. Throats are cleared, words are spoken, an attempt to pick up the pieces and put them back on the shelf. Mr. Harris is the one who doesn't speak, full worthy of a better fate. We thought it best for all concerned, seeing the reality of the situation. No significant award has been achieved. To cut the cheese into pieces, too expensive to ship it as it is. To label each piece an Ingersoll cheese. To ship our brand across the ocean, to try to establish a market overseas, offer a chance for all to buy shares in the enterprise. This is what we feel is best for all concerned. But I come to the river as often as I can. A man standing on a porch, a poet who writes occasional verse, a visitor who is being interviewed. So, you still want to write that epic? Your lyric poem's not enough? Your everyday poems you will write about Ingersoll? A toboggan sliding down a hill, a choir of singing children. Oops, wrong page here. Games on the 24th of May. No interview at this time. Mr. Harris is sequestered in his office. There is so much left to do. He's sequestered alone in his office. No man has ever burned more midnight oil. She spied 13 imps all dancing in chains. When is the journey ever over? When is the quest at a final end? Always a series of questions to answer, always new paths that beckon us on. From an armada to a single ship, to a piece of wreckage slowly drifting towards the shore. A single sailor clinging, exhausted, after a storm. No more poems from the pen that can no more write. His second wife understands him in a way that no one else does. A bucket of rich, foamy cream. To ignore the rumors, turn them into rhyme, might or might not be, always making something new, an effervescent eruption, to make his way, grow a third ear, press my case, voices told him, gates and portals and doors. And now, if you don't mind, I have a question for you, though I realize that you are interviewing me. Not an interview in reverse, just a simple question. I'm asking myself, as I ask this question of you. You fell asleep on a wedge of cheese. Plenty to do at the furniture store. I've neglected the daily chores, off gadding to Saratoga and everywhere else. I rearrange the chairs in the showroom. I count the money in the till. I wash the window and glance up at the sign. I take a broom and sweep the sawdust from the floor. The bells did ring around his sleigh. One can live or one can write. I should have put all these notebooks away. So put them in the cupboard and close the door. No more sit on the bench by the river. No more scribble with paper and pen. Leave the writing to the indolently idle. I should drown my pen in my notebook and plunge back into the river of life again. His talent, the fuel that fed his funeral pyre. Early morning in Ingersoll, walking through the town. A bucket of fresh, cool milk. Gods who manipulate things, all are important points, try to communicate something that he's seeking, have that within, a non-event, we had a sign, no personal questions, paid much attention, not checking the ropes. Just suppose, as some of your questions, so hard-hitting, so unrelenting, just might have implied, that the epic adventure does not take place, that it turns out that conditions are not propitious for the undertaking of such a magnificent mythical quest. He dreamed that the cheese had a set of wings. All the town returns to normal. The kids go by on their way to school. Every Sunday the hymns are sung. Every Monday the washing is hung out on the line. People walk across the bridge, avoid the puddles as they cross the street. Early morning the sidewalks are swept. Every morning the sidewalks are swept. Every evening all the storekeepers lower the blinds. Bare ruined choirs where once the sweet birds sang. Most of the talk is of honey, making the honey for the hive. Only a few talk about shares and establishing a market overseas. A concert down at the schoolhouse, a visiting minister preaching in the church, everything pretty well restored or replaced from the flood and the recent fire. Nice to buzz about all this gossip, but my watch insists on the time. Better go home or else I'm going to be late for lunch. A hero setting forth on a great adventure, a community undertaking a major enterprise, a chronicler of the history of his time. I think of the future as two people meeting on a bridge. Whether tragedy or comedy, always up to deviltry. With other gods in rivalry, they all enjoyed a meal of cheese, left on the altar them to appease. What size town did Dante live in? Did Milton or Chaucer live in big towns? Wasn't Homer just a shepherd who tended his flock? Angel children leave angel imprints in the cloudy snow. By the recipe for cheese that her subjects have created, whose success would no longer have to be debated, the lady who is known as the Empress of India, if you please, would add to her nomens the Empress of Ingersoll cheese. The Iliad, the Odyssey, Paradise Lost, and the Mammoth cheese. Looking up, all he saw was earth. Looking down, all he saw was sky. He decided that would be best, just to stay right there. A machine pulling up stumps, a man sitting and writing a poem, a store with an abundance of furniture. Oh, Mr. Harris's idea is a mammoth compromise. It is to reduce the mammoth cheese to a manageable size. Mr. Harris is not available. He's sequestered alone in his office, cutting, packaging, labeling, corresponding, cost of shipments, percentage of sales, pick up the pieces and try to make them whole. Mr. Harris is immersed in waves of calculations. His head is bobbing amidst the paper and pencil sea. He heard a gun. He was elf-shot. The hero washes up on shore, picks himself up and wipes his brow, finds a stream and drinks fresh water, builds a fire to keep himself warm, attempts to figure out where he has landed, get a sense of the lay of the land. Things are strange and things are familiar. He knows not where he is. You're casting ashore and the taking of stock. Is this a new and alien landscape? Or is it my home? Only 25 years old and no more poems. I tell you, he's written an awful lot of poems. Someday he'll leave enough books to fill a shelf. A bucket of clear spring water. A request for an assessment, sifting through the ruins, the trepanning of your head, reading from the wrong card. What is a light? Not in vain, deeper than our thoughts, something that is seeking life's epic ecstasies, the laying of a cornerstone. That the bold and wily hero does not undertake a dangerous voyage in treacherous seas, that he does not wake up exhausted on a mysterious shore, that he does not persevere and win the prize. The cheese lifted the man and flew towards the sun. Carrying on in the furniture store, discussing the faults of a new design, an easy chair that causes the back to be sore. The old fellow who comes to sleep has found a flaw. What can we do to relieve the pain? An easy chair should make life better, not make it worse. In years that bring the philosophic mind. Better to abandon the Mammoth epic, an epic task just to decide I have lost the climactic ending. There won't be a London, a Paris, a Rome. The story begins and ends in Ingersoll. How can I make an epic of that? The Mammoth cheese is being reduced to single